our mission is to change the narrative that exists out there with unity, pride, and education. So the question is, why is it so important to change the narrative? Is it very important that there's been an intentional effort to damage the reputation of the Mexican-American community? Is it important? Does it matter? You know, why has it been specific to the Mexican-American community? Well, we need to remember history for that. If we remember 170 years ago when America conquered California, Texas, and the other states, there was a thriving community that had culture, and of course the vaquero culture, the original cowboy culture. And at that time, there was a need for a conquering nation to take control of the land and to basically strip the land of the Mexican people that lived there at the time. And a very common way to do that when you're a conquering nation is to devalue the people that are there. So there was an intentional effort to create damage the reputation of the Mexican-American people, so then they would be able to strip the properties. And that's exactly what happened. And within a decade, you know, Mexican-American people did not have any more property. Within a decade, our ancestors became servants, very, very, very much like slaves, you know, very close to being slaves. And things like this appear everywhere. This is history that we need to know. We cannot forget how hard some of our ancestors have had it, you know. And really things have gotten better. But let's not sing victory, because there's still a lot of terrible things happening to the Mexican-American community today. You know, there still is people saying terrible things about Mexican-American people. There's still dozens of people in the past few months, dozens of people have been killed, and specifically mentioned we want to kill as many Mexican-Americans as possible. So things have gotten better, but not that much better. And what is the effect of 170 years of abuse? You know, how does that damage us on a regular basis? Well, on our last event, we had one of our role models of success give us some very important information about how, on a day-to-day situation, this reputation damage can cost to our community. So let's listen to Dora, you know, on our prayer wisdom.
What if I told you that Latino candidates are drastically underpaid compared to their non-Latino peers? And it's due to our culture and the way we're taught to communicate. According to the 2018 Bureau of Labor Statistics, Latinos are paid 53 cents for every dollar paid to a non-Latino.
What? So we make 50% less than any other members of the community for the same job? How is that possible? Well, it is because as she mentioned, over 170 years of abuse has created a situation in which sometimes we're just very humble. And we're very appreciative that we get a job, while other communities realize that and they take advantage of it. And they pay us half of what they would pay somebody else. Doesn't that make you upset? That's not a good thing, right? It's very upsetting. So that has created a situation, and sometimes we want to hide our identity because we know that there is there's a stigma. So a lot of people, while there's so many people that have done so much good, in this room is full of amazing activists and powerful people, in reality, there's a lot of people out there that try to mix it up and hide their real identity. And they prefer to mix up with say Latino, Hispanic, instead of saying I'm Mexican, Mexican-American. And that makes us weak, not united. Who we really are is very different than what people say that we are. You know, who we really are is a community of hardworking people, of industrious people, of brilliant people, of artistic people, who have contributed to this country in endless ways, who have achieved amazing levels of success against all odds, against oppression, and that's what this nonprofit organization is about reminding us of who we really are, making us proud with all these amazing people that we meet, that we learn from. In this room, I hope that you guys get a chance to meet all these amazing people that are here, representing the Mexican-American community. We want to remember that the Mexican-American community is huge. We are 12% of the entire population. To put things in perspective, the African-American community is 14% of the population. We're a pretty big community. And if we were united, we would be very powerful, very mighty, Another thing that is very important to remember is, unlike what Trump and Arpaio and all these people that like to say terrible things, you Mexicans who come from a drug-infested land with no culture, no history, that's not true. All the opposite is true. We come from the center of civilization in the continent. For 2,000 years, the greatest civilizations of the continent, existed in Mexico. The Mayans, the Aztecs, the Toltecs. They had civilizations that were comparable to European civilizations. And after the Spaniards arrived in Mexico, that clash of cultures created a new civilization, then called the New Spain. And New Spain was the wealthiest economy, the wealthiest colony on the continent for hundreds of years. The cities built in Mexico, rival European cities. In fact, when Europeans would come to Mexico and they would see cities like Mexico City, they would think they were a paradise. They were gorgeous, beautiful castles everywhere, So after that, Mexico for decades has been one of the most powerful economies in the world. Did you know that? One of the most powerful economies in the world, one of the 15 largest economies in the world. And that is not because Mexicans are lazy or uneducated. It's all the opposite. They're highly educated people, and those are our ancestors, So we have a lot of reasons to be proud. There is so much art, there's so much culture, from our ancestors. In Mexico City, there's more museums, first world-class museums, than any other city in the continent. In fact, there's only other place in the world that has more museums than Mexico City, and that is Paris. So we come from a culture that is highly educated, highly cultured, and we have a lot of reasons to be proud. And our goal with the Mexican American Cultural Education Foundation is remind us of that. Is remind us of who we really are, where we really come from, and not believe what all those people are saying.